I am Vaibhav from Vaibhav E-Learning Academy. Today we are going to start a new topic in biology, that is animal kingdom, and this is our part number 1. So in this whole series we will be discussing about what are the animals, how many categories are the animals divided, and how are they divided. There are 11 different phylums. We will be discussing about each and every phylum in this series. In today's video, today is the introductory video. Today we will learn about what is animal kingdom. Before moving on to animal kingdom, we will discuss what are the different types of kingdoms, how are these kingdoms divided into each other, and what are the levels of classification, like not in the kingdom but kingdom, phylum, class, order. These we will be discussing about this level, this hierarchy. So in today's video we will be discussing how are the animals, how are the kingdoms divided, and in animal kingdoms what are the basis of classification. There are so many phylums, there are 11 phylums. How are these phylums different from each other? What is the arrangement of them? How are they arranged from starting to the last? So this will be discussing in today's video. So let us start. So before moving on to animal kingdom, we should first notice this term kingdom. So there is a thing called hierarchy. So in this hierarchy, first one is kingdom. The second one is phylum. The third one is class. Then order. Then family. Then genus. And finally species. So this is the hierarchy of classifying an organism. So the lowest category is the species and the highest category is the kingdom. So each and every species around you has these all, like it is in which kingdom, it is in which phylum, which class, order, family, genus, species, etc. So this is the order, and here the top order is kingdom. So this thing, detail about this we'll be learning in some other video, but this is just the basic, that this is the hierarchy. Now in the animal kingdom we will be going through these three things: kingdom, phylum and class. So this is called taxon, and the whole chart which you saw is called taxonomical hierarchy. So now about the kingdoms. The kingdoms are classified into 5 types or 5 kingdoms. These 5 kingdom system was given by R.H. Whittaker in 1969. So the first one is Monera. The second one is Protista. The third one is fungi. The fourth one is Plantae, and the fifth one is Animalia. So these are the 5 kingdoms. Now we won't be discussing about each and every kingdom. We will just discuss how are they different from each other. Now first and foremost thing, we have already discussed this in the part 1 of biological classification about prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So what is karyon? Karyon means nucleus. Prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So which have nuclear membrane, which have the membranes around their organelles, these things is dependent on these 2 types, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So we have discussed in detail about this, even the structures and all that will be discussed, but we have discussed about prokaryotes and eukaryotes in the biological classification video. So here out of these 5 kingdoms, only Monera is prokaryotes. This is the first and foremost classification, that Monera is prokaryote. Others all from Protista and all are eukaryotes. Eukaryotes. But how will you differentiate Monera from others? First one we found prokaryote. So let us eliminate this Monera. Now Protista, fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Now what about Protista? Protista is eukaryote, but it is unicellular. whereas fungi, plantae and animalia all are multicellular. So here we have one more category, it is unicellular. So we can exclude Protista also. Now fungi, plantae and animalia. So plantae we can easily eliminate them because of their autotrophic nature. Whereas fungi, they are heterotrophs. So plantae is also eliminated. Now fungi and animalia, what is the difference? These both are heterotrophic, but here fungi is saprophytic. And animals are holozoic. So even about the types of heterotrophic nutrition we have discussed in our nutrition video, but still now out of all these 5 kingdoms we have segregated 2, fungi and animalia. So what is saprophytic? Saprophytic is a type of heterotrophic nutrition. What is heterotrophic? Heterotrophism means they depend directly or indirectly on the autotrophic animals. They cannot produce their own food. They need to eat other organisms to survive. So here heterotrophism is of many types: saprophytic, symbiotic and then holozoic. So here we are having saprophytic. Saprophytic is the type of heterotrophism in which first, for example, now we are learning about fungi, right? Let us take one example. Fungi, one very popular fungi which we know is Rhizobium. So what is Rhizobium? It is a bread mould. So actually it's not Rhizobium, it is Rhizopus. So very popular fungi is Rhizopus, which is called bread mould. So this bread mould, here for example, let us suppose this is a bread. So on this the fungi grows like this. These are actually called hyphae. We will discuss these later. But according to saprophytic, the organism first gives its enzyme on the food particle. So for example, this is the bread. This fungi, it will produce its enzymes and it will drop those enzymes at the food particles. After those enzymes are dropped over here, digestion will take place. Not inside the body, outside the body. Here the digestion will take place. After the food is digested, the organism will take in the food. This is called saprophytic type of heterotrophism. Holozoic in the sense, in Holozoic, how we are eating food. We are breaking down the food material and then we are doing the process of digestion inside our body, that too in many steps: ingestion, absorption, assimilation and digestion. So now this we know about all the kingdoms. So what are the characteristics of animal kingdom? The members of the animal kingdom are called animals. Monerans, protistans, fungi and plants are not called animals because animals have some specialties. What is the specialty of animal? So first one, they are eukaryote. They are multicellular. They are heterotrophic. They are holozoic. These are the characteristics which can define which organism is an animal. Now these are the basic. Apart from this, if you are taking the account into the body, then you have locomotion and organ systems. So in organ systems also we won't take account of organ system, but we will be taking two systems or one main system, that is called a nervous system. If these all the characteristics are present, then it is under animalia, but obviously there is one exception. For the last two, locomotion and nervous system, the exception is Porifera. What is Porifera? It is a phylum about which we will discuss in the next video. So these are the characteristics of animals. They are eukaryote, multicellular, heterotrophic, holozoic in the sense they will break down the food, they will chew it through the mouth. Then there are 4 steps of digestion in which first one is ingestion, we are taking in the food. Then absorption, all the nutrients are absorbed from the food in the small intestine. Then we are having assimilation, that food is transported to each and every cell of the body, and then egestion, the waste material is thrown out. This is called holozoic mode of heterotrophism. Locomotion should be present and the nervous system should be present. Now these are the basic characters for animal kingdom. Now animal kingdoms are divided into 11 different phylums. How are they divided? So animal kingdom, this is called metazoa. The whole animal kingdom is called metazoa. This is classified into 2 parts: parazoa and eumetazoa. The animal kingdom is classified into 2 parts: parazoa and eumetazoa. Parazoa are the most early organisms, primitive. In parazoa, you have example Porifera. Okay. In eumetazoa, these are somewhat advanced animals. So in parazoa, we only have one phylum, Porifera, which is exception to most of the things. It is exception to the tissue level system. Even the tissue level system, Porifera does not have. We will discuss this in detail even in the next couple of minutes and then in the next video about it. But Porifera comes under parazoa. So it has one phylum. The whole animal kingdom has 11 phylums. Then eumetazoa. Now eumetazoa, U means they came later on, and you can say prozoa or parazoa, these are early primitive ones. So in eumetazoa, you have the phylums Cnidaria or Coelenterata, then you have Ctenophora, then Platyhelminthes, then Acoelomates. This is also called nematoda or Platyhelminthes. Acoelomates is also called Platyhelminthes or nematode. Then Annelida, then Arthropoda. Then we are having mollusca, Echinodermata, then we are having stomochordates or hemichordates, and then we are having chordates. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there are 11 phylums in the animal kingdoms. 1 is in parazoa and 10 are in eumetazoa. So as you can see, there are so many phylums. How are these phylums different from each other? Let me give a quick overview. Coelenterata, these are also primitive level of organization. After Porifera, they only evoluted. Then Ctenophora are just like related brothers of Coelenterates. Then we are having Platyhelminthes. They are little bit evolved. So out of 1, 2, 3, 4, out of these first 4, Platyhelminthes is the most evolved one. It is like a more, what you can say, like advanced organism in comparison with these 3. Then you have Acoelomates. Acoelomates is more advanced than Platyhelminthes. Then after that, this Acoelomates is also called Platyhelminthes, nematodes, etc. And Coelenterata is also called Cnidaria. Annelida. Now from Annelida, some serious development started happening, like organ system, that too especially circulatory system and all, started occurring from annelids. And then Arthropoda, the largest phylum. Then we have mollusca, the second largest phylum. Echinodermatas, they are having spines on their body. Hemichordates, these hemichordates are also called stomochordates because of presence of stomochord. And then chordates, which we are. So as you will see, from the starting to the last one, they are arranged in one order. And why are they in specific that order? that is showing the evolution. So evolution is the changes which are happening in the organism slowly by slowly. So one more thing you will notice is everything started from water. From water it came to the land and then in the air. Life started in the water. From there it started evolution. Evolution started from there and everything came to cortex. Now this was all the different types of phylums. All the different phylums. Now these phylums are arranged differently on some basis. What are those bases? Let us see those bases of classification. So now we are going to discuss about some basis of classification. How or what are the criteria which we use to classify these different phylums. So here we are having 7 main classification bases. First one is level of organization. Second one is symmetry, germ layers, coelom, segmentation, body segments and notochord. We will be discussing about each and every different basis of classification. So the first order is level of organization, then symmetry, germ layers, then coelom, segmentation, body system and notochord. This is the order. So let us start with the first one, level of organization. Now what are levels of organization? We all know all these organization or all these systems, organism starts from a single cell. So cellular level, for example. So which of the phylums are of cellular levels? So actually level of organization, level of organization it means that how are the different phylums classified into different, how are the different phylums differentiated on the basis of level of organization. For example, first one we are having cellular level. The phylums which have only cells or aggregations of cells. Tissues are the group of cells which are structurally and functionally similar. But what if there are some groups of cells which are not structurally and functionally similar, but still there are a group of cells? So that is called cellular level. It does not mean it is just a unicellular, because animal kingdom, the criteria for being an animal is multicellularity. So they are cellular. Which one? Poriferans. They are the only cellular level of organization. Then we have tissue level. So what are tissues? A group of cells which are structurally and functionally similar are called tissues. So which are tissue level here? So in tissue level of organization comes coelenterate and ctenophores. So Coelenterata and Ctenophora. This is the phylum which comes under tissue system level of organization. They have a bunch of cells which are originated and functionally and origination is the same. So they combine to do some specific work. They are called tissue level of organization. They are much developed than cellular. From cellular to the tissue there is a lot of gap because the developments here are greater than the cellular level. Then you have the organ system. Organ level. So a group of tissues which do the same work, which do similar work, combine to form one organ. So in organ system we have only one phylum, that is Platyhelminthes. So Platyhelminthes is one phylum which comes under the organ level of classification, level of organization. Then we have organ system level. So the organ system level, this level is the highest level. In this level of organization, most of the phylums after Platyhelminthes, every phylum come under organ system level of classification or organization. So here the group of organs, for example now tissues, for example, some group of tissues which are secretory in nature, for example goblet cells, unicellular cells, they have the function of secretion. So they secrete mucus, for example. So there is some gland which secretes mucus. A group of those glands combine to form an organ, for example stomach. So stomach has one function to digest food and how through the secretions. So the tissues are doing one work and making one organ called stomach. Like that, the stomach is helping in digestion. Similarly, we are having one organ that is, for example, intestine. That is also one organ which is also helping in the digestion of the food. So these both combine to form the organ system. In organ system level, we have from Acoelomates to chordates. This is the first criteria level of organization. If you notice one thing, they are still in that same evolutionary order. Porifera, then Symmetry, Ctenophora, Platyhelminthes, Acoelomates to chordates. This is that order. This is the first one level of organization. Second one, we are having symmetry. Now, what is symmetry? In mathematics or in geography mostly, symmetry means how much times or in how much planes anything can be divided. So second one we are having symmetry. So in basic language you can say geometrical shapes, right? Sorry, geometrical behavior of any organism is called it symmetry. So actually symmetry means the number of planes an organism can be divided into, or you can say geometrical systems or behavior in organisms. So geometrical behavior in the sense, for example, if there is an organism, let us suppose like this. This is, let us suppose, a sponge. So this organism, how many planes you can divide equally? So actually a number of planes an organism can be divided into equally. So if you are taking an example of a human being, so what you have to do is imagine one longitudinal axis. Longitudinal axis is the longest axis of the body. So this is the longitudinal and this is the latitudinal. Longitudinal axis you have to decide. So for example, in a human being, in what angle or in what plane you have to cut the human being so that both the sides are equal. Left side is equal to the right side. So here we are having only one plane. So the number of planes, if for an organism, you can cut that organism into two equal halves only in one plane. Like here if I cut myself, it will be just in a straight path. So if I cut straight over here, one eye this side, one eye this side, half nose here, half lips here and half lips here. Every organ, even one hand this side, one hand on this side. So this is equally distributed. And what are we talking, like there are some exceptions that there is, if there is heart, then the heart will be only one side, it won't go to both the sides. Liver, only one side. We are talking about external. Whatever things are external, visible, morphological things, that. So here you can divide me only with one plane, that is one longitudinal plane. So that is called one type of symmetry, that is bilateral. So here symmetry can be of many different types. What are the different types of symmetry? So first one is asymmetrical. So what is asymmetrical? Asymmetrical, first find the example. The example is Porifera. Of course, every starting of every classification is the first organism, that is Porifera. So this Porifera, they can't be divided into any plane because their shape is irregular. There is no special shape. For example, you will find some sponges like this. You will find some sponges in this order also. So can you cut this into two halves? You can't cut this into two halves equally. See, this side it is something like this, here it is like this. If you want to cut this, you can't cut it into any plane. So the organisms in which you can't cut them into two equal halves is called asymmetrical organisms. They are called asymmetrical organisms. Now the second one is bilateral. What are bilateral? Bilaterally symmetrical. So bilaterally So bilateral symmetry, if you can cut an organism into two equal halves by only one plane. Example, dog, cat, humans. If you want to cut them equally, you have to cut only through one plane. Only one plane passes through them. Those are called bilateral symmetry. Examples are annelids, and then chordates, arthropods, molluscans. But in mollusca, there is one exception. If you take the mollusca, there is snail in it. Snail is a type of organism which can't be divided into two equal planes by two equal halves by any plane. Snail is not symmetrical. So there is one actually class, you can say, of mollusca called gastropods. Gastropods. These gastropods are not bilaterally symmetrical. They are asymmetrical. So here you can write one more thing, that is gastropods. They are asymmetrical. Next we are having radial symmetry. Radial symmetry. So, for example, if there is an organism which is almost circular in shape or they are round in shape, they can be cut into equal half by many different planes. If there is an organism like this, if you cut like this also, you can get two halves. If you cut like this also, you can get two equal halves. Like this. Infinite number of planes can be passed through them to cut them into two equal halves. Those type of organisms are called radially symmetrical organisms. Now in radial symmetry, examples are Ridalians or Coelentrates, Ctenophores, and adult echinoderms. So echinodermata are the organism in which the early stage of their life is bilaterally symmetrical, and the later on stage of their life is radially symmetrical. Earlier it is bilateral and later is radial. So annelids, chordates, arthropods, molluscans and larvae or baby echinoderms are bilaterally symmetrical. Now in radial symmetry also there are many types. There is one thing called biradial symmetry. Then we have triradial symmetry, tetraradial, pentaradial. These are also some types of radial symmetry. So if there is an organism, for example starfish. So a starfish comes under echinodermata. So these starfish can be cut into 5 planes, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So actually each hand can represent one plane of cutting the starfish. So this starfish, actually according to our definition, radial symmetry means infinite number of planes can be you can use infinite number of planes to divide the organism into two equal halves. But here in starfish, for example, there you cannot put infinite number of planes. There is some limited number only. So these types are called pentaradial. 5 planes you can pass through the starfish. Then similarly you have biradial for so many organisms, triradial, etc. etc. So these are the basis of organization according to symmetry. Here also first one Porifera, then Ctenophora, Ctenophores, then afterwards come Platyhelminthes. So Platyhelminthes, Acoelomates and every phylum from Platyhelminthes to chordates are bilaterally symmetrical except echinoderms. This is the second level, symmetry. Now let us move on to the third level, germ layers and silo. Let us see. So now we are having our third basis of classification, that is germ layers. Now for germ layers we are having two types of germ layers. One is triploblastic and one is diploblastic. Triploblastic and diploblastic. Now what are germ layers? So when the life starts from a single cell called zygote. This zygote is differentiated in 3 layers. One layer is called ectoderm, one is called mesoderm and one is called endoderm. the ectoderm, mesoderm and the endoderm. These three layers are the basis of each and every organism, each and every part of your body. So ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm, these three are the layers from which the whole body is made up of. So in the tissues video we learned that epithelial tissues are made from all the three types of germ layer, ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. Muscle tissues and connective tissues are made up of mesoderm, they are mesodermally derived, and nervous system, nervous tissues are ectodermally divided. So what is the meaning of ectodermally derived and what is the meaning of mesodermally derived? So it means that these three layers, the endoderm, the innermost layer, the mesoderm and the ectoderm, these three layers are differentiating. Like there is just one of this ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. This mesoderm will grow up and this will form the heart. Actually that is myogenic. It will form the heart's tissues, the cardiac tissue, it will form the connective tissue, it will form many different organs. Ectoderm will differentiate. Differentiate means from one cell it will come out and it will form many different things. So ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So there are two types of germ layers, diploblastic and triploblastic. Now what is the main difference between them? First difference is outermost layer is ectoderm, middlemost layer is the mesoderm and the innermost layer is the endoderm. Ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. But in diploblastic, ectoderm is still the outermost layer, but here we are having mesoglia. Mesoglia is a non-cellular matrix. Non-cellular matrix. This does not have any cell. This is just a space between the ectoderm and the endoderm. So these are diploblastic. Now which are the phylums? Because this is the basis of classification. So what are the phylums which are under diploblastic and triploblastic? Under diploblastic we are having coelentrates, then we are having ctenophores, and under triploblastic we are having from Platyhelminthes to chordates. From Platyhelminthes to chordates is triploblastic, and the coelentrates and ctenophores are diploblastic. What about the poriferans? Now poriferan is actually like a controversial. Some are saying they are under diploblastic, some say they do not have this. Actually germ layers and coelom, these are two different topics. Some are saying they do not have any germ layers, they don't have diploblastic, they are not triploblastic, and some are saying that there is diploblastic also. So you can either include the poriferans in diploblastic or you can say that the germ layers does not apply for them. So this is the germ layer basis of classification. Now the next basis of classification is coelom. Let us see what is coelom and what are the types of coelom. So now we are moving on to the next basis of classification, that is coelom. So basically what is a coelom? It is a body cavity lined by mesoderm. Body cavity lined by mesoderm. So lined by mesoderm. So like previously we learnt about the germ layers which were diploblastic and triploblastic. So in actually here this was like ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. So if this mesoderm, so actually what is actually a coelom? So for example if this is the human body, then this is the mouth, this is the esophagus for example. Now this is the body wall. So the inside of the the inside of the outer area is called the body wall. From the body wall to the wall of the intestine, that space is called as coelom. From the inner wall of the body wall to the outer wall of the gas cavity, or you can say the digestive system, is called the coelom. So this coelom is actually lined by mesoderm. So there are three types of coelom. There are three types of organisms which are possessing coelom: eucoelomate, pseudocoelomates and acoelomate. So eucoelomate, the between area is just free. This is like a mesodermally lined area. This is actually not mesoderm. This drawing and the previous drawing are completely different. This is not a mesoderm. It is completely packed. But here, this is a free space. So you can say this is eucoelomate. U means true coelomate. These are true coelomates. Then we are having pseudocoelomates. So these areas are actually by cells, and this is some free areas between them. So it is partially lined, partially not lined. So you can say that is as pseudocoelomates, and acoelomate it is completely filled. So these are acoelomate. So which possess coelom are called coelomates or eucoelomates, which do not possess coelom are called acoelomates, and which possess but not fully, partially you can say, those are called pseudocoelomates. So eucoelomate from acoelomate, the examples of acoelomates are Porifera, then we are having Coelentrates, then we are having Ctenophores in acoelomates. So actually there is one more thing. This coelom only those organisms can have which are having the germ layers. If they don't have the germ layers, see, germ layers are ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. If there is no mesoderm, from where we do get coelom? So again, Porifera you can take as an exclusion, or you can say controversial. So Coelentrates and Ctenophores are under acoelomate. Pseudocoelomate, there is Acoelomates or Platyhelminthes, and from eucoelomates we have Platy. So actually in acoelomate, this Platyhelminthes comes under acoelomate only. One second, from eucoelomate, from Acoelomates, after Acoelomates Annelida. So we are having Annelida, Arthropoda, and up to Chordata. Chordates. Then in acoelomate, actually, as I said, here we will also have this Platyhelminthes. So actually their ctenophores and all won't come. It is because ctenophores, they all are actually tissue level of organization, and for getting the coelom is the distance between the digestive system and the body wall. So if they don't, see, they are tissue level of organization, it means they do not have the organ systems. So that is why there won't be any coelom in them. So for acoelomates you will have Platyhelminthes, for pseudocoelomates you have Acoelomates, and for eucoelomates you have from Annelid to Chordata. So till now we have discussed about germ layers, about coeloms. In germ layers, see again, so there is one very important question: which organism is triploblastic acoelomate? Triploblastic Platyhelminthes, acoelomate Platyhelminthes. There is no other organism which is triploblastic and acoelomate. And for pseudocoelomate we are having Acoelomates. So this is about coelom. Now let us move on to the next basis of classification. Let us see. So the next basis of classification is segmentation. Segmentation. What is segmentation? So segmentation is also called metamerism. So what is metamerism? Metamerism means dividing a body organism, or you can say separating body organisms from outside and inside, externally or internally, having segments between them. So for example, this as an earthworm, for example, if you take this as an earthworm, there are several small ring-like things, like segments. These are called as segments, and this one thing is actually a segment. So what is the work of this segment? This segment divides the organism from both outside and inside. So it is like metameric plates, you can say. These segments will differentiate one segment from another segment. So this segment actually inside, both inside of the body cavity and outside of the body cavity, they are visible. Now this segmentation, according to the presence or absence of segmentation, there are many, like some phylums. Those who have segmentation, they are annelids. arthropods and chordates. These are the organisms which have segments. Who don't have? So all the other phylums. Other phylums do not have segmentation. So what is actually basically segmentation? Segmentation means some metameric folds, you can say. Those folds will separate the body from both inside and outside. So for example, in arthropods, what are segmentation? In arthropods, you have an example, cockroach. Cockroach is divided into head, thorax and abdomen. In that abdomen there are 6 segments. In thorax there are 3 segments. So this will be discussing in that series, structural organization in animals. So we have also discussed about this in our cockroach video. In morphology of cockroach, we have learned about the segmentation in cockroach. Next, in chordates. In chordates, we do not have external segmentation. Our body cannot be divided outside. Can be segmented outside, but inside there is one area. Segmentation does not only mean dividing the organ from both outside and organism from outside and inside. It also means repetition of parts of an organ. Repeating the parts of the organ. If you see in humans, there is a region in the thoracic cavity called ribs. Now there are 12 pairs of ribs. So each bone or each pair is repeating itself. That is also one metamerism. So that is why chordates also come under metamerically segmented. Then, which don't have segments, there are other phylums, Platyhelminthes, Poriferans, Cnidarians, Coelentrates, these are. So this is about segmentation. Next one is body system. Now, there are so many body systems, but here basically we have to learn only about 3 types. So here we are having body system. So first one is digestive. Digestive system. So this digestive system can be of 2 types: complete and incomplete. Complete digestive system and incomplete digestive system. Complete digestive system is they have both mouth and anus. And incomplete means they have only one opening, which serves both mouth and anus. So, complete digestive system, they have both mouth and anus. This incomplete digestive system, this is also called as blind sac. So, complete digestive system, they have both mouth and anus. This complete digestive system is also called tube within tube. So, because like incomplete is just like a tube, and which is outside. This is the body wall and this is the alimentary canal. So tube within a tube. This is called complete digestive system. And incomplete, they have only one opening which serves as both mouth as an anus. So incomplete, we are having the example as chordates. And then you can take annelid, arthropoda. So basically the higher level of organization. And for incomplete, we are having examples such as poriferans, and then we have cnidarians, etc. So these all have incomplete digestive system, and chordates, annelids, arthropods, etc. have complete digestive system. So this was all about the digestive system. Then second type of system which we have to basically note here is circulatory system. Now the circulatory system can also be of 2 types. Circulatory system. So this circulatory system can be open type or closed type. What is the meaning of open type and closed type? Closed type, it means that they have capillary system, or you can say they have vascular system. And open means they don't have vascular system. So vascular in the sense not blood vascular. Vascular system means here I am talking about arteries, veins, capillaries, etc. So if the circulatory system has arteries, veins, capillaries, etc., that is called as the closed circulatory system. And if one circulatory system does not have any veins or arteries, etc., that is called as open type of circulatory system. For open type example, we are having mainly arthropoda, that is cockroach. We have discussed about the circulatory system of cockroach also in that video. So here you can take one major example as arthropoda. In closed you can take major example as annelids and chordates, etc. So basically in these different bases of classifications we are seeing how are they classified. So mostly what you are finding is arthropoda up, cnidarians down, cnidarians up, poriferans up, these are down. So what does that mean? It means that they are classified on some basis. Then second we have reproductive system. Now in reproductive system, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction is mostly done in poriferans, in the early organism, in the primitive organisms asexual reproduction is done, and in the above organisms, in the developed organisms sexual reproduction is developed. That is also on basis of body system. Then last, and this is the important one, there is another basis of classification of phylum, that is called notochord. What is notochord? Notochord is a rod-like structure. Notochord is a rod-like structure which is present in few animals. So, on the basis or absence, on the presence or absence of notochord, organisms are divided into two types, chordates and non-chordates. So, what is notochord? A rod-like structure present either dorsally or ventrally, actually, but dorsally we'll see mostly. So a rod-like structure which is present dorsally in most of the animals, but it can be present anywhere. So here we are talking about just a rod-like structure which is present. Notochord, there are many rod-like structures, but there is a specific one which is called a notochord. On the presence of absence of this notochord, there are two types. One type is non-chordates and the other type is chordates. So chordates is already one phylum. So chordates' speciality is that they are having notochord, and which they don't have notochord from Porifera to hemichordate. Why is hemichordata name having a chordata here? It is because, see, hemichordata other name is Stomochordata. So when earlier this phylum was discovered, they found one rod-like structure in hemichordata also. But that rod-like structure was not a notochord, that was another rod-like structure called Stomochord. So hemichordata was first, it was under chordata. But because of the discovery of Stomochord, this came back to the non-chordates as hemichordata. So this was about all the different bases of classification. Now let us see one flow chart and let us summarize everything and then we'll end the session. Let us see. So now we are having one last flow chart about the whole concept of the basis of classification. This is our flow chart. So here we are having 5 areas. We are having 5 bases actually over here. First one is kingdom. Second one is level of organization. Third one is symmetry. Fourth one is coelom, and then phylum. These are the 5 main classifications. Instead of 5, you can say these 3. These 3 are the most important and the main classification. So here one thing, according to the NCERT book, they have given that poriferans are acoelomate, but some people say that they do not belong to any coelom whatsoever. So here, according to that, we also have acoelomate for coelentrates, ctenophores, poriferans and platyhelminthes. But here for triploblastic acoelomate we have Platyhelminthes, one very important example. So this was about the full flowchart. So here we are having Animalia, which are divided into two parts depending upon the levels of organization. So for the levels of organization, one is cellular, one is tissue level, organ level or organ system level. Cellular level, it means that they have only aggregation of cells. Then tissue level is a group of cells which are structurally and functionally similar. Organ level is a group of tissues which work together to perform one function. Organ system is a group of organs which come together to perform one specific function as a system. So that are organ system. So now symmetry. They can be asymmetrical, bilaterally symmetrical and radially symmetrical. Asymmetrical, it means that they cannot be divided into any planes. Examples, you are having Porifera. You also have gastropods from molluscans as an example of asymmetrical, not asymmetrical. Then after that in symmetry you have radial symmetry. Radial symmetry is you can divide that organism into two halves by any plane passing through it. That type of symmetry is called radial. Now in radial also we have biradial, triradial, tetraradial, pentaradial. So depending upon how many planes you can pass, there also you are having radial symmetry, different types. Most common example for radial symmetry is Hydra. You have Hydra, we are having Aurelia, jellyfish, etc. These are for radial symmetry. Then bilateral symmetry. Lateral means at the side. So actually bilateral. So you cut the organism into one plane. With that one plane, there are two lateral sides, bilateral. One lateral and one lateral. If you cut like this longitudinal axis, two lateral sides you get, this one side and this. So that is bilateral. You can't cut those organisms which are bilaterally symmetrical into any other plane. By any other plane you can't cut them into two parts. Those are bilaterally symmetrical. Examples are humans, dogs, animals like cows, etc. Then for coelom, we are having acoelomates. Acoelomates are those who actually do not have the coelom. Their middle cavity is completely blocked, so they are acoelomates. So actually I wrote only about Platyhelminthes. Here if you are taking into account, then you have Porifera, Ctenophora also as acoelomates. Then acoelomates are actually who do not have coelom at all. Then you are having pseudocoelomates. Pseudocoelomates are those organisms which have coelom but not completely. You can say partially or false coelom. So they are pseudocoelomates. Eucoelomates, they are true coelomates. They have real coelom, true coelom. So they are eucoelomates. So for that, if any organism which comes under Animalia, which is cellular, which is asymmetrical, acoelomate, then it is Porifera. If it is in Animalia, tissue or organ level, organ system level, if it is radially symmetrical and if it is acoelomate, then two options, Coelentrates or Ctenophores. If it is a tissue, organ or organ system, if it is bilaterally symmetrical, if it is acoelomate, it's Platyhelminthes. If it is pseudocoelomate, it's Acoelomates, and if it is eucoelomate, there may be any one of these. Now the question is, these many types of criteria we are having, why are we having those criteria? We are having that so that, see, there are almost 2 million species of different, 2 million species are discovered. There are still many million species which have to be discovered. So for example, you take one species and then you need to see about it, you need to observe that species, right? So you can't take each 1 million, 2 million species and observe them one by one. You can't do it. So for that you have this basis of classification, in which each organism you can take with just one single look. You can say whether it is cellular or tissue or whatever it is. Then proceeding from that, even like in these things, if you are doing in plants, then you are having different aids which are called taxonomical aids. In zoology, classifying the organism into which phylums they are, you use this level of organization. Now after this thing, after the coelom, Porifera, now for example, if any organism is tissue system, radial, acoelomate, how will you decide whether it is Coelenterate or Ctenophora? For that, you have to learn in detail about what are Coelenterates, what are Ctenophores. If there is an organism, tissue, organ system, bilateral, which is eucoelomate, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 phylums. Which one of these 6 phylums is that organism? How will you find out? For that, you have to learn about each and every different phylum. So from the next video onwards, from the next video of this series, we will be discussing about each and every different types of phylums. Either separately or combined, whatever it is, but we will discuss about each and every types of phylums. So I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have enjoyed it, do like this video, share this video with your friends if you find this informative. See you next time in the next video. Thank you and goodbye.